Happy Tuesday. You are watching NMH at 1, which brings you the latest news in Namibia, Africa and the world, all through the lunch hour, highlighting current affairs, economic news, sports and international headlines. In the news today, 10th SADC Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue underway. Cancer Association of Namibia announces return of the annual Heads and Roses event. Security in Kenya are holding 40 Jordanian tourists after they were found begging in the streets of Mombasa. I am Aina Kweo, keeping you company for the next hour. Good news for local travelers, as the well-known Okapuka game range situated outside Windhoek on the road to Okahanja recently entered a joint venture with Gondwana Collection Namibia and will soon have renovations done, which are slated to start October this year. Gondwana Collection Namibia will be taking bookings as from the 1st of November, and the first guests will be welcomed into the lodge in April next year, where they will experience a classic safari lodge. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media as we share some community news stories from across the country on the other side of this short break. We'll be right back.
The Regional Review brings you news, views, and interviews from NMH correspondents from across the country. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact regional@synergy.com.na.
In our visual news this afternoon, the 10th SADC Multi-Stakeholder Dialogue is currently underway in Lesotho. Dr. Patrice Kambeya, Senior Program Officer for Water at the SADC Secretariat, talks about the importance of this dialogue. Let's have a look.
I think this dialogue is very important because it's a biannual dialogue, which is conducted every 2 years, where member states and other institutions come together to share the experience, to learn about what has happened from the previous dialogue, and set up new strategies on our base to deal with the challenges which affect the water, energy, and food issues in the context of in the context of SADC region.
What are the current challenges that are pressing for member states?
Like, for example, there is water scarcity, which is everywhere, especially in Southern Africa region. Despite that we have got abundant water resources in the SADC region, there is an issue of energy, which also is much more completely limited. We need capacity, we need to improve on that particular area. And there is also food security crisis. So we are trying to use the three approaches, the three sectors in a very combined approach in order to enhance capability for productive, efficient regional food production, efficient water delivery and energy delivery in the region.
What is SADC's role in this?
SADC's role is to facilitate program, to resource mobilize, to support member states, to enhance regional integration.
A donation of 7,000 sanitary pads were made through the office of the Erongo governor last week to assist schoolgirls in the region to have a clean, safe and dignified way to address their menstruation challenges.
Was donated pads, sanitary pads, by the office of the president, which was donated by a private company, and that was on the 24th of May in Windhoek. So we received this consignment of pads on behalf of the region. And today, I'm proud and happy to hand over this sanitary pads to the Ministry of Education in the region, to the director. We have today, or what we are going to hand over, is 6,912 pads that will be handed over for the whole region. Surely this will also go to all the schools, not only the 2 schools that are here, but all the schools in the region. And surely we know that our girls face the challenges of school dropout because of the health around menstruation. We also know that the challenges are faced with menstrual reproduction by young girls. And this is a challenge that you are faced every day. Also at the same time, you also get the challenge of, when you do not have sanitary pads, it affects your confidence at school, and you will not want to take part in activities, and that excludes you from the activities that you are supposed to take part as a girl, and also as a learner. And this also have a serious challenge in our hygiene management in our schools.
The Cancer Association this morning announced that the annual Hearts and Roses event will take place this year after not being able to host the event the past 2 years. Yolanda Nell attended the event.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the launch of the 2022 Hats and Roses. We're very excited to be with you and to welcome you. This is my family home, so this is why we also chose to launch it here at Terra Africa, because we want to create a homely environment, a safe environment for women to celebrate life and to honor what life has thrown at us, because we have lost a lot of loved ones. During the COVID pandemic, cancer has taken a lot of our dear family, friends, members, mothers, daughters, and for us as Cancer Association, it's really about a morning of hope that we want to create. Ons sien uit om baie van julle by ons te hê, Saterdag die 1 Oktober, and we look forward to welcoming all of you beautiful ladies watching. If it weren't for you, beautiful Namibian women, this event would not be possible. And it's not just about a celebration, it's also about fundraising for a worthy cause. Because all the funds that we generate through our annual Hats and Roses events go to our annual Women's Health Community Clinics, where we screen vulnerable, financially vulnerable Namibian women for a very low price of only $100 Namibian, and the Cancer Association pays all the rest of that. And therefore we are truly thankful to Sanlam Namibia, Daniel, for partnering with us on this beautiful event of hope once again, and for helping us just always raise the bar and allowing us to bring in good artists, good speakers, do a good motivational session, but also to inject the necessary funds to allow us to host these community clinics for women. So from all of us at the Cancer Association, to all of you project partners, and to our anchor sponsor, thank you very much. Daniel, it's always a pleasure working with you, and I know this year we're going to rock that stage.
Speculations continue to grow regarding who President Hage Geingob will hand the instruments of power to on March the 21st, 2025. Namibian Sun shares some of these speculations. Stick around for newspaper review.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact b7@synergy.com.na.
Inside today's daily newspapers, according to Namibian Sun page 1, a picture of the future is emerging, but the light is not yet bright enough to see who President Hage Geingob will hand the instruments of power to on 21 March 2025 at a nail-biting Politburo meeting held yesterday to nominate candidates for the top 4 party backbenchers. Toby Aupindi rose to nominate Sarah Kugongerwa Amadhira. As adversaries of the Prime Ministers bowed their head in prayer, and the secondment would back Aupindi's idea of the country's next head of state, grey-headed Kyle Schladman stood and gave his backing to Kugongerwa Amadhira, who was his former boss at the Ministry of Finance. Kugongerwa Amadhira accepted the vote of confidence and will now take an incumbent party vice president, Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah, who did not need nominations by virtue of being already in that position. On its page 3, the paper reports SWAPO Party Secretary General Sophia Shanengwa has told her political opponents to wait for her term to finish, adding that she had been given an overwhelming mandate to manage the party's affairs. She made the comments at the SWAPO Party Youth League Central Committee meeting last weekend. The paper also updates in a separate story that South Africa is this week considering to lift its total ban on cattle movement in certain areas not affected by foot and mouth disease. Afrikaans daily newspaper Republican leads with words that the trial of a man who is accused of throwing petrol over his girlfriend and setting her alight has started in the High Court in Windhoek. A state witness testified how the accused was covered in flames when running towards him. Inside the Republican, we read that Yandre Dipnar, who faces charges of reckless and negligent driving, fraud, and driving without a valid driver's license after a horror crash in which 6 people died, has asked via his legal representatives that the charge of fraud be dropped. The charge relates to providing false information. On its front page, the Allgemeine Zeitung also reports that Namibia is currently walking an environmental tightrope. On the other hand, Namibia is trying to cash by claiming carbon emission credits and grant the Environmental Investment Fund, and on the other hand, the country is increasingly turning to production of goods including gas, oil, which certainly do not qualify Namibia for such grants, but rather turn Namibia into an emission agent. Now, on its page 3, Allgemeine Zeitung, you will find a report about the charcoal industry that has held its annual general meeting over the past weekend. According to the figure made public, Europe receives the largest share of Namibia charcoal exports, followed by South Africa and the Middle East. According to the report, charcoal worth $10.1 million went to neighboring South Africa and $38.3 million to Europe in 2020. The United Kingdom topped the list with 18.2%, while Germany received 11.7% of Europe's import from Namibia. After the break, we take a look at the Namibian newspaper.
Active Kids is an initiative under the MyZone brand that aims to provide exciting and easy activities and fun stories. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na. Active Kids, where we actively invest in your future.
The Namibian reports that Etai constituency councillor Hans Haikali has pleaded with residents of Etai to donate mahangu to his office to feed approximately 5,000 people in his constituency. Haikali on Sunday said thousands of people are in dire need of food and that the constituency is one of the 7 regions which has not received drought relief food for the past 2 years. Page 3 of the Namibian reports that the International Labour Organization has found that 56% of the country's workforce is in the informal sector, despite the Minister of Labour, Industrial Relations and Employment Creation, Utoni Nuyoma, stating that the sector is difficult to measure. The ILO has stated that at least 60% of the world's employed population age 15 and older spend at least part of their time in informal settlements. Evidence is beginning to surface that the scheme orchestrated by the Katutura Central Constituency Vedemba Rodman Chaimo to ship Namibians to Europe was never intended for the Commonwealth Games but instead to seek asylum, reports New Era. The assertion comes on none other than the maligned organizer of who the trip seen through a widely circulated screenshot of a conversation between Kashaimo and a participant in the failed excursion. On its page 3, the paper reports that 10 people have been killed in road-related accidents, while a substantial 117 have been injured between 28th of August and the 4th of September. Official figures released this week have shown. Market Watch reports that Oryx Properties Limited, a property loan stock company listed on Namibian Stock Exchange and almost entirely owned by Namibians, is proud to share the annual financial results published on September 2022. Now, after the break, we discuss a suspension on the movement of cattle in South Africa, which has been extended. Stay with us.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toivon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
In today's economic news, Namibia Tourism Board Managing Director Digu Ngaubeb says the gap left by former flag carrier Air Namibia has given rise to steep prices charged by players in the aviation space. He had been asked how the absence of Air Namibia has affected air travel in and out of Namibia as well as domestically following its liquidation last year by the government. We lost an airline and the routes are not competitively priced. We had competitive pricing, but if you compare flying and fueling domestically, the cost is not justifiable. The only justification would be time to travel. Ngaubebe added that Air Namibia had also aided government objectives as the nation's flag carrier. It assisted government in achieving its objectives. Airline operating commercially do not have an objective to support government's objectives, he said. Namibia Airports Company CEO Basi Uirab said the airline's departure left many routes either under or completely incapacitated. The entry of players into Namibia's aviation sector was a boon of business and tourism, she said, as Namibians are exposed to greater options to connect to major international hubs. In our next story, over 400 Africans lack access to safe drinking water on the continent, while nearly 800 million Africans lack access to adequate sanitation. Agriculture Minister Carl Schleitwein said as a result of this poor situation, socio-economic development is impeded overall. Schleitwein, who was speaking in his capacity as the president of Africa's Ministers' Council on Water, said this at the International High-Level Panel on Water Investment for Africa. The event was held during Stockholm World Water Week in Sweden. Clear the way, the minister said, that one stumbling block that needs to be removed is the fragmented way in which water sector is dealt with. Schleitwein said that the establishment of an international high-level panel on water investment for Africa is geared towards mobilizing a political commitment and leadership to accelerate the Africa Water Investment Program implementations. This is necessary in order to narrow or close water investment gap for Africa. In February 2019, the Governing Council of AMCOW endorsed the African Water Investment Program following the recognition of a critical water security challenge Africa faces and mounting investment. Now let's have a look at our economic indicators. The Namibian dollar remained steady against the euro and the Chinese yuan, while dropping against the British pound. First Rand Namibia Ltd stock prices are up by 60%, while Namibia Brewery stock prices have increased to 42 Namibian dollars and 50 cents on the NSX. Oryx Properties Ltd stock have increased in the price on the NSX, while both local and overall index have closed higher. All commodities are up in price, while gold prices have dropped by 0.09%. An attack on a vehicle has left 35 civilians dead in northern Burkina Faso. The full story when we return.
Got me feeling fresh.
In the news from Africa this afternoon, at least 35 civilians were killed and 37 injured in northern Burkina Faso on Monday when a vehicle in a convoy hit an improvised explosive device, the interim government said in a statement. The escorted supply convoy heading to the capital Ouagadougou hit the IED between the northern town of Djibo and Boguzaga, an area where Islamist militants have escalated attacks on villages, police said, military outposts since 2015. Insecurities have risen across West Africa's Sahel over the past decade as groups with links to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State have gained ground, killing thousands and displacing over 1 million people despite the presence of foreign troops and the United Nations peacekeepers. Frustrations about the spiraling attack spurred a military coup against Burkina Faso's ex-president Roch Kabore in January. Nearly 1 in 10 people in Burkina Faso has been displaced by conflict, and severe food insecurity has almost doubled compared to 2021 as fields and livestock are abandoned, according to the Norwegian Refugee Council. In our next story, security agents in Mombasa country are holding 40 Jordanian nationals after they were found begging in Mombasa Street in what is suspected to be a foiled human trafficking case. Mombasa residents were on Thursday shocked to see at least 40 tourists begging along the streets of Old Town to raise money for food and transport to allegedly travel to Nairobi. In a rare occurrence, the tourists turned beggars from the Jordanian nationals were spotted at the Marikiti market seeking help as they had had run out of money to buy food and relocated to Nairobi. According to Hamisi, it was a strange experience for locals to encounter a situation where tourists who the coast city depends on to raise revenue to turn into beggars with nowhere to go. Mvita Sub-Country Police Commander Master Maxwell Agoro, who confirmed the arrest of the tourists, said the foreigners had valid tourist visas, but the only undoing was to convert into beggars, which contravenes the term of their travel documents. The foreigners included 19 adults and 21 children and were arrested after the local tipped off the police. Agoro said the information they received from the locals was that the foreigners were begging in areas. Upon finding them, the police escorted them to the Central Police Station for interrogation. They were found to be going against the regulation of the visa by converting themselves to beggars as opposed to being tourists. He said the foreigners are currently being held up at the police station pending a further probe. In our next story, 5 youth posing as jihadists set fire to 13 houses in a village in the jihadist-hit northern Mozambican province, Cabo Delgado. The young men pretended to be jihadists so as to steal from locals, the authorities said. One of the men was identified and seized by the local population and is currently under police detention, said Vicente Chicote, the provincial police commander. He said it was not the first time young people in the area had posed as jihadists with the intention to steal within communities. Master Boris bowed out as British Prime Minister. This story and more in our international segment. Stay with us.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
Let's get into our international news. Nearly 250 people being treated for injuries from the disaster, with dozens critically wounded, according to Chinese state media. Rescuers are also working on retrieving over 200 people stranded in the quake zone, restoring telecommunication services and power and water utilities, as well as delivering food supply to residents affected by the magnitude 6.8 tremor, state media reported. The power earthquake struck Sinchao after midday on Monday, with the epicenter deep in the province's mountainous interior in the west. The quake was felt as far away as the provinces of Shanxi and Zigu, hundreds of kilometers away. Earlier today, state television reported over 200 people were still stranded in Hiligu, a popular tourist spot known for its glacier-vended forest and soaring peaks. Rescuers were still working to reopen blocked roads and reach them. They're linking the epicenter of the quake. Power and water infrastructure and telecommunications were severely damaged, according to the state television. It was also reported that 243 houses had collapsed and 13,010 had been damaged. 4 hotels and hundreds of homes stays were also affected. The death toll from the strongest earthquake to hit China's southwest Sinchao province's 2017 rose to 65 today, as the rescuers rushed to reach hundreds and stranded people, as well as restore utilities and send them emergency relief. Boris Johnson bowed out as British Prime Minister this morning, ending a wavering 3 years in office and bequeathing his successor Liz Truss as a daunting list of problems to tackle. Johnson, who was forced out of office by his own Conservative Party over a series of scandals, urged the country to come together and back his successor. After making a farewell speech outside Downing Street, he left London to travel to Scotland and tender his resignation to Queen Elizabeth. Truss will also travel to the monarch's castle in northeast Scotland and be asked to form a government. The 47-year-old Truss is tasked with steering Britain through a looming lengthy recession and energy crisis that threatens the finances of millions of households and businesses. Her plan to boost the economy through tax cuts while providing tens of billions of pounds to curb energy costs has already badly rattled financial markets, prompting investors to dump the pound and government bonds. Truss will be the fourth Conservative minister in 6 years. She confronts the latest crisis to buffet Britain with a weaker political hand than many of those who came before her after she defeated rival Rishi Sunak in a vote of Conservative Party members by a tighter margin than expected, and with more of her lawmakers initially backing her rival. After the break, we return with local sports.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportwrap@synergy.com.ma.
In our local sports this afternoon, the Hentisbai Harambee Charity Organization will be hosting the two-day Hentisbai Harambee Charity Cup for soccer and netball fans on the 1st to the 2nd of October at the Omdale Sports Stadium in Hentisbai. The winner of the soccer tournament will walk away with 25,000 Namibian dollars, 20 gold medals, soccer kits, and a floating trophy. The runner-up will win 15,000, 20 silver medals and soccer balls. The semi-finalists will each receive 5,000 Namibian dollars as well as 20 bronze medals. Winners in the netball tournament will win 2,500 Namibian dollars and 15 gold medals. The finalists will pocket 1,250 Namibian dollars as well as 15 silver medals, while the semi-finalists will each receive 625 Namibian dollars. The Okinawan Gojuru Karate National Championships was described as a success after several karatekas performed beyond their abilities at the Windhoek Showgrounds on Saturday. The event saw some of Namibia's karate prospects battling each other for bragging rights and top honors. Carl van der Merwe, who is a senior instructor and organizer of the championship, said the event yielded desired result. Van der Merwe emphasized the importance of taking on karate as a career. He said the sport teaches discipline and this improves athletes' overall lifestyle. In our next story, Dr. B. Ben Boxing and Fitness Academy from Arandes is calling out for assistance from businesses to help. Ndatipo said that the boys from the club are performing well. On the 3rd of September 2022, we participated in the Erongo Future Champ competition that was held at Swakopmund Hotel and Entertainment Center. Our boxers performed tremendously and showed a lot of improvement. The boxers are fit and focused. They did their extraordinary best to bring home 4 gold medals and 2 silver medals. He further added that the club is open to all regardless of their background. However, the academy has struggled to keep up since its inception on the 18th of January 2021. After the break, we return with local sports. We do apologize. We are back with the international sports. Vicha Kvaratskhelia is the name dancing around Napoli's lips thanks to a stunning start to life in Italy, which swept away the summertime blues ahead of Wednesday's visit to Liverpool. Kvaratskhelia has been named Kvaradona after scoring 4 times and setting up another goal in the first 5 rounds of Series A fixtures. The Georgian will be leading Napoli's bid for a big win in the Group A opener at the Stadio Maradona, especially as Nigerian forward Victor Osimhen is a doubt with a muscular problem. In our next story, there are 3 midweek games in the DStv Premiership, all involving clubs that are in CAF club competition action this season. We look at the talking points ahead of the matches. A KwaZulu-Natal derby that will be played on Tuesday night. These two will clash as top-flight clubs for the first time, but they also met in what is now called the Motsepe Foundation Championship before Royal AM brought their way into the top flight and Richard Bay End promotion last season. Rafael Nadal fell off his earliest US Open loss in 6 years on Monday when he was knocked out by Frances Tiafoe, while Carlos Alcaraz survived a 5-set epic to reach the second successive quarterfinal in a tie which finished at 2:23 a.m. on Tuesday. 4-time US Open champion Nadal, bidding for a 23rd Grand Slam title, lost 6-4, 4-6, 6-4, 6-3 in the last 16 to 26 ranked Tiafoe. The America's big hitting performance, conjured by 8 X's and 49 winners, past a sluggish Nadal. For Australian and French Open champion Nadal, it was a first Grand Slam loss of 2022 after abdominal strain forced him to forfeit his Wimbledon semi-final. His defeat comes just a day after world #1 and defending champion Daniil Medvedev was knocked out by Nick Kyrgios. After the break, we return with highlights.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and oneup2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
You're watching NMH at 1, and if you have just joined us, here are some of our news highlights. At least 35 civilians were killed and 37 injured in northern Burkina Faso yesterday when a vehicle in a convoy hit an improvised explosive device, the interim government said in a statement. Nearly 250 people were being treated for injuries from a disaster, with dozens critically wounded, according to the Chinese state media. The two-day Hentisby Harambee Charity Cup for soccer and netball fans will take place on the 1st and 2nd of October at the Omdel Sports Stadium, with 25,000 Namibian dollars and 20 gold medal soccer kits and a floating trophy up for grabs. Those have been our highlights. Thank you very much for watching NMH at 1 and for spending your lunch hour with me. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 o'clock as we take you through the latest happenings in Namibia and beyond. That is it from all of us here in studio. Don't go anywhere, because up next is news from Namibia's Erongo region. Have a splendid day.
I think the CEO has explained almost everything, but there's just two things that I just wanted to highlight slightly. And oh yeah, by the way, I'm Claude Shido. I'm the Executive Manager of Supply Business Unit. Supply Business Unit is concerned with customer care, tariffing, among others, metering, billing, etc. But the two things that I just wanted to highlight was especially on the pensioners. Now, as you are aware, we've been subsidizing pensioner tariffs, especially those inclined block tariffs. Now, we were subsidizing, say, the first 100 units at a very low cost, from the 101st unit up to 500 unit, okay, just slightly higher than the first block. And then the third block was 501 and more units, then it was still subsidized on that one. Now what we have done, we have decreased the second block. So which means the first block up to 100 units still stay as it was. It's still subsidized, albeit it has been increased slightly with a 6.8%. The second block, which was 500 units, will now be 400 units. And the third block then will start from 401 onwards. Okay, that's one. It's on the inclined block tariffs for the pensioners and for the social. The social, as the CEO has mentioned, was the one of the customers that are connected to the 20M circuit breaker. Then there's the other second thing that I just wanted to highlight was the pensioners that has got rooftops, as the CEO have mentioned. Now, in the prior year, they were still kept on the subsidized tariffs. However, we're finding that this is actually basically a double subsidy for those. So if you have solar or rooftop solar at your premises, then you cannot also benefit from the subsidy. So you will then be put on the normal tariff if you are a pensioner. All right. What else can I add to this? I think amongst others, okay, as Ben has mentioned, that the tariff, the whole tariff will be put on the website and it will be shared with you. So I don't want to really take a lot of time, because these are a lot of tariffs if I've got to go through each and every one mentioning which one went from where to where. And I think it was briefly explained by the CEO as to what we have done. So, and I think I will just leave it there, and if there are questions, then I'll just then answer accordingly.
Maybe just maybe the normal tariff that everyone that are not subsidized, maybe just that one will do. I mean, how much do I spend now on electricity?
That will depend again on your consumption pattern, but say for a normal household, expect at least a 7.2% increase in cost. All right?
I still don't understand. You must tell me in cents and dollars.
Okay, if you were in cents.
Dollars, yeah.
Yeah, which means that, okay, if you say, previously, say for prepayment large, you were paying $2.38 without the levies, all right? Now you will pay $2.55. And that is the whole schedule that Ben was talking about that he will share, because I mean, it's a lot of tariffs. Otherwise, we will be here up to the evening, I think.
Okay.
Me feeling fresh. Got me feeling fresh. Got me feeling fresh.
Platz Amir is a landmark on the coastline of Namibia, a home to quality shops and quality restaurants, a select variety of fashion and food retailers, as well as banks, not to mention the pier with 36 luxury apartments and entertainment for the whole family. Find us at corner of Tabarat and Albatross Street, Vineta North, Swakopmund. Call us on 064 462 242. Visit platzamir.com.na or at Platz Amir on Facebook. Platz Amir, enhancing your coastal experience.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, welcome to another exciting edition.
And then unfortunately we come to the end of today's Irongo Talk Show. Please make sure to visit our website. It's at www.irongo.com.na. If you want to send us a telegram, that will be on 08117040. Please make sure to follow our social media. That's on Facebook, that will be Irongo247, and Instagram Irongo. Please make sure to watch our DSTV channels. It's at channel 285 on DSTV and channel 94 on GoTV. And then for now, we say bye.